Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today, I'm going to be discussing 5 things that I think the Pittsburgh Steelers need to fix down the stretch if this team wants to be dangerous come playoff time, let alone make the playoffs. And then five reasons that I still have hope for this Pittsburgh Steelers football team heading down the home stretch of the 2025 NFL season. It's going to be a fun one here today, guys. Make sure you click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you bleed black and gold, no matter what. If you are with this team and if you love Pittsburgh Steelers football, no matter what happens, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon. Help out today's show and show your support. All right, so we'll start with the things to fix, all right? And the first thing that I think the Steelers need to do is they need to run the football more, all right? The run game, this team was built to be a running offense. With Arthur Smith, the run game is always paramount in terms of game planning, in terms of schematics, in terms of the way the roster is constructed. But despite that, right now they are 18th in the National Football League. That is below league average in rush percentage, all right? So they're actually passing the football at an above league average level right now, and they're rushing it slightly less. And, just 42.5% of their offensive plays are rushing plays. Now, some of that is the Steelers are down in the second half. They have to pass the ball more, yada, yada, yada. But even in the situations where they absolutely can run the football more, they're not running it as much as I would like. And the reason why I would like them to run the ball more is because it's effective. This is the best thing that the Pittsburgh Steelers do this year. All right, they are 6th in EPA per rush average this season, and they are 7th in rushing success rate. And, a lot of this can be tied back to week 4 when they started using the jumbo personnel packages. And since they started using those packages, they are 4th and 5th respectively in EPA per rush average and rushing success rate. So this is a top 5 rushing offense in the National Football League in terms of pure efficiency and success. But despite that, they're rushing it at a below league average level, and you compare that to the passing metrics, and it's like, listen, man, if your passing game is really good, I have no problem passing the ball more. All right, but respectively, there you're 18th and 19th and average drop back average there on EPA, and then also passing success rate. So obviously, this team is better running the football than they are passing the football, but they're passing it way more, and it's a little frustrating to see that. And I just really hope that this team can lean even more into the run game. They did it last week against Chicago, and it was one of the best offensive performances they've had all season long, especially on the ground. I'm hoping they go into this week's game, especially against the Bills, with the same mentality and pound the frickin' rock. Then another thing that I think that the Steelers should fix heading down the stretch is that they need to stretch out the passing game, all right? And you have to target the intermediate middle and the intermediate deep middle portion of the field. And you have to target more areas of the field if you want defenses to stay honest, because right now they're not targeting downfield, they're not targeting deep, and they're not targeting over the middle of the field, okay? Like, it's a lot underneath. It's a lot towards the sidelines. It's a lot of checkdowns. It's a lot of screens. And when that happens, defensive coordinators kind of custom tailor their defensive game plans to play more aggressively to the underneath areas and to the screen game. And, they leave areas to the deeper portions of the field, especially over the middle, that are extremely vulnerable for the Steelers to attack. And they have been trying to do that. At least last week they were. Arthur Smith actually had some nice stuff over the middle of the field last week against the Bears, in my opinion. DK Metcalf on a number of deep crossers. They had Scotty Miller wide open on a dig route on one play out of a bunch. They had, some legitimate options over the middle of the field last week. It's just that Mason Rudolph decided not to throw there. Now, maybe that's just a part of the progression. I don't know. But Mason had a number of opportunities to throw over the middle last week's game, and he just didn't do it. He opted to throw towards the sideline. Pittsburgh does have the speed to make this happen. They can absolutely attack the middle of the field. You can run Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson and DK Metcalf on deep posts. I mean, how many times have the Steelers thrown a deep post this season? Maybe once, maybe twice. Like, that should be one of the main things and one of the main routes that the Steelers try to get going to try and get these deep shots, because you got game wreckers here in terms of the speed, in terms of the verticality that these three bring to the table. They all run in the 4-3s, yet we're running them on curls, and we're running quick game concepts that don't really serve this offense. And what would really serve this offense is getting them over the middle, get them ahead of steam, get them running, get them out in space. and get these guys running away from defenders instead of catching it and then going out of bounds or catching it and getting tackled. And if Pittsburgh can unlock this, guys, and they can unlock that vertical passing game down the stretch, I think that this offense could really catch fire. I really do, because not only do teams have to worry about the vertical passing game then and the over-the-middle passing game then, but they also have to worry about the sidelines, and they also have to worry about the yak game that has really worked well for the Steelers this year, and they have to worry about the screen game too. You just got to give defenses more stuff to worry about. And, in my opinion, guys, explosiveness is better than efficiency. I mean, just think about it. What's better? A 60-yard completion completely flipping the field, or what's more likely, I should say, and what's better in terms of efficiency, that 60-yard play or like 6 first downs where you get 11 yards on each set of downs? Like, you can make an argument for efficiency because of time of possession and wearing down a defense, but if you want to consistently score a lot of points in this league, you have to be explosive. You have to get those explosive plays down the field. The Steelers don't do that, so they have to pretty much play perfectly on a drive. They can't make any mistakes or else the drive is over. And I would much rather, decrease the margin for error there and get some explosive chunks down the field to allow this team to score more points. Then another thing that this team needs to fix is they need to get Jonnu Smith off the freaking field. I mean, now I'm not saying completely bench him, never play him, but he should easily be getting, the third most snaps at the tight end position, especially in comparison to Darnell Washington and Pat Freiermuth, who are clearly better players. You guys can take a look here. In terms of the pass-catching snap share among the top weapons in this passing game, Jonnu Smith currently has the third most snaps, only behind DK Metcalf and Darnell Washington. Okay? Calvin Austin III, Pat Freiermuth, Roman Wilson. All three guys are better receiving weapons, in my opinion, have less snaps than Jonnu Smith. And then you guys can take a look at the receiving yards. Despite that huge disparity in snaps and targets between Jonnu Smith and Roman Wilson, Roman is right on his tail in terms of total receiving yards. Jonnu is one of the least efficient pass-catching weapons in the game, yet he is getting, full-time starter workload in this offense, and it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, Pat Freiermuth has the 5th most snaps out of these 6 players. He has the 2nd most receiving yards. That should be a sign to Arthur Smith. Get this guy on the field more. Get him the football more. And especially when you got a guy in Jonnu Smith, and it'd be one thing if Jonnu was playing well, but he's not, man. He doesn't really do anything. He doesn't block well. He doesn't run good routes. He doesn't really catch the ball at a great level in terms of contested catches. Like, he doesn't really even do the yak stuff all that well. He gets like 3 or 4 yards per catch on a screen. It's just not good, explosive, efficient football to keep feeding Jonnu Smith and keep putting him out on the field to the expense of Calvin Austin III, at the expense of Roman Wilson, at the expense of Pat Freiermuth. These guys are better players than Jonnu Smith, so they should play more than him, period. Now, another thing that they should fix, now shifting to the defensive side of the ball, is they should go back to playing a too-high base defense. This is what they've been doing the 3 weeks prior to the Bears game, and then Mike Tomlin and Terrell Austin, because of the Bears' rushing attack, decided to go back to a heavy one-high defensive structure against the Bears, and you guys saw the result. I mean, it was the worst defensive performance the Steelers have had over the last month, and it wasn't even close. And, I can't stress enough how important pre-snap ambiguity is for this Steelers defense, because this pass rush is legitimately awesome, all right? Their time to pressure this year, it's the highest in the National Football League. But if the quarterback is getting rid of it within 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds very consistently, and that pass rush has no time to get home, they're not going to get home, all right? So you got to force these quarterbacks to hold the ball for longer. The guys that have had the most success against this defense, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Joe Flacco, Sam Darnold, they all got the ball out extremely quickly against the Steelers defense, and they got the ball down the field while doing so as well. So this defense needs to do a better job hiding what their coverage is pre-snap. The way to do that is you put Jalen Ramsey and Kyle Duggar in those kind of quarters alignment, too high safety type of base defense. And, these two guys, they're long, they're physical, they're athletic. They can, get down there and help in the run defense, and that's part of the reason why you go get a Kyle Duggar, so you can run this defense and run this style of defense more efficiently. And frankly, Ramsey and Duggar are just way more comfortable playing that too high structure pre-snap than in that single high structure. So I think that that's just the best way moving forward, and hopefully Mike Tomlin and Terrell Austin learned that lesson in Chicago last week. Then the final thing to fix is to get more discipline out of the linebackers, and in particular, Patrick Queen. Peyton Wilson has certainly had his moments this year, and, every once in a while, and pretty much in every game, there'll be a couple plays where he's out of position. He doesn't have the best zone feel and pass coverage either. He's a hell of an athlete. He's shown some good stuff this year for sure. He's growing as a player. But Patrick Queen, man, he's out of position a lot in the run game. He's miscommunicating things to the defense. He's the quarterback of the team. He's got that green dot. And if you want to look at and you want to point fingers to the person that's not communicating to the defense and for all these miscommunications and all these different things that are happening to the Steelers defense this year, and frankly, it goes back to last year at this point, it's Patrick Queen who's in charge of the defensive calls on this defense. And he also leads the league, by the way, among linebackers in missed tackle rate. Peyton Wilson's missed tackle rate's like 10%. Just for reference, Patrick Queen's is 20. That is first in the National Football League. It's by far the highest, and it's just unacceptable for somebody that gets paid as much as he gets paid. He has the green dot. He has a lot of responsibility, and frankly, he's a liability on this Steelers defense. Got to get more consistency out of him if the Steelers defense is going to turn it around before the end of the year. Now, up next here on Steelers Talk, 5 reasons to still have hope. I just gave you 5 things the Steelers need to fix down the stretch. Now, and then coming up here, I'm going to give you 5 reasons to have hope that they will actually fix those things in the coming weeks. Now, let me know down there in the comment section, what is the number one thing that the Pittsburgh Steelers need to fix down the stretch? Let me know your opinion down there in the comment section for today's pinned question. Just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our new sponsor here on Steelers Talk, Cash App. And while I tell you about our new sponsor today, answer this question down there in the comments. Here on Steelers Talk, we are thrilled to be partnering with our new sponsor here on the show, Cash App. And the holidays are all about finding the perfect gift, but this time of the year, not every deal is actually what it seems. Scammers are getting more creative to trick people into sharing their payment info through methods like fake shopping sites and giveaways that are too good to be true. Luckily, Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity if someone were to gain access to your card, so you can act fast if something seems off. You can also lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. Stay one step ahead of scams this season and keep your money secure with Cash App. For limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, just download Cash App, use our exclusive referral code, SECURE10 in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank. Member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. And a big thank you to Cash App for sponsoring today's edition of Steelers Talk. So I'll start my list of reasons to hope for the Pittsburgh Steelers down the stretch here with the fact that the talent, I believe, is here. Okay, I do believe that this roster is the most complete roster that the Pittsburgh Steelers have put together probably since 2017. Now, I don't think it's as good as that 2017 season where, fortunately, they did lose at home to the Jacksonville Jaguars there at the end of the Killer Bee era. But I do think that with Aaron Rodgers, who is not going to be afraid of that big playoff stage if and when the Steelers get there, got so much veteran talent on this team that is capable of playing at a high level. And that's another reason to hope here, guys, is that we have seen both sides of the ball, offense and defense, play at a high level this year. All right, we've seen Aaron Rodgers play at a high level this year to the point where people are talking about at midway through the season that the Steelers have to bring him back next season. Right, and obviously it's subsided since then, ever since he jammed his finger against the Indianapolis Colts back in Week 9, and then you have Mason Rudolph this past week, all that different stuff. But we've seen this offense play well. We've seen this defense play well, all right? Outside of that Chicago game last week, they've had a 3-game stretch there where they were playing some pretty darn good football. It's just about putting it all together at this point. We've seen the potential on both sides of the ball. If they can get hot and they can find some consistency and they can have the offense and the defense play complementary football down the stretch, this team can absolutely be dangerous. And there's also the reality that, Mike Tomlin voodoo, whatever you want to call it, it's on our side, all right? And, whatever you want to call it, but Mike Tomlin just has a knack for getting this team to be competitive at the end of the season and put them in position to make the postseason, all right? So even though we've lost 4 of our last 6, things don't look great, I've seen a Mike Tomlin season, guys, where after a 3-7 start, this team still got to a winning record and nearly made the playoffs. All right. So there's something about Mike Tomlin-led teams that even when things aren't going great, he's able to galvanize the group, get them to play motivated football, and turn things around. So right now you're sitting at 6-5. Okay, and there's still plenty of time to turn things around. And, history would certainly suggest that the Steelers at least go 500 the rest of the way and get to 9-8. Now, I understand 9-8 is not good enough, all right? I understand that is not a good outcome for the Pittsburgh Steelers because you likely don't make the playoffs with a 9-8 record, and that is about as mediocre as it gets. All right, but I think they win at least 3, and I think the 3 games that I feel pretty good about at this point. Now, obviously, you can't count your chickens before they hatch, but we're going to go through this exercise. They absolutely should beat the Miami Dolphins, a soft team that doesn't like to play in the cold, in Pittsburgh in Week 15 in a night situation. By the way, it's going to be cold in Pittsburgh that night. Then Week 17 at Cleveland, should be able to win that game as well, with probably Shadur Sanders starting. Mike Tomlin's record against rookie quarterbacks is excellent. And then also, you just got to win one game against Baltimore. That gets you to 3 wins. And I think that, beating Baltimore in one of those games is absolutely reasonable. Lamar Jackson and that Ravens offense is not playing at a high level right now, and I certainly think that the track record of the Steelers defense going up against Lamar Jackson has been pretty favorable in terms of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think it's reasonable to think the Steelers will win at least one game against the Baltimore Ravens this year, and that gets you to 3 wins, which means you would need one more win over the last 3 games that we haven't talked about yet to get you to double-digit wins and likely to the NFL postseason. So you're going to have to beat either Buffalo this week, the Lions on the road in Week 16, or you're going to have to sweep the Baltimore Ravens. Now, you might be saying at home, Jack, I don't think they're going to do that, and especially because, the Steelers just lost to the Bears. But I actually think that the Steelers' matchup versus the Bills is very good. The one weakness the Bills' offense has is that they're not great against the blitz, and they also turn the football over a lot. Steelers have an excellent pass rush, and they turn the football over. I think it's a great matchup for the Steelers defense. And then on the other side of the ball, what do the Steelers do really well? Run the football from jumbo personnel. What do the Bills do really poorly? Defend the run, especially teams that run from jumbo personnel. So I think that this is a really good matchup for the Steelers. I think it's very realistic that they could win this game. But I also think it's somewhat realistic they could sweep the Baltimore Ravens, all right? Like, I know the Ravens are a good football team. They've won a bunch of games in a row, but they haven't played anybody in a while now. And the Steelers swept the Baltimore Ravens with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph at quarterback one year. You're telling me that they can't sweep them this year if Aaron Rodgers and this offense figure it out, if the defense is playing good football down the stretch? I certainly think that's possible. Now, if you win one of those 3 games, you get to 10-7. If you can win 2 of them, which I do think is possible, you get to 11-6, which would certainly win the division. So I still think that the Steelers have everything left in front of them. And my prediction actually is that the Pittsburgh Steelers will finish the year 10-7. All right, the same place that you were, the last 2 seasons, obviously. But 10-7 gets you into the postseason, gets you into the dance. And if you can beat Baltimore, in that season finale, 10-7 almost certainly wins you the division and gets you a home playoff game, which increases the chances of a win in the playoffs. So this is the year that I actually think 10-7 could be good enough to put this team in position to win a playoff game this year. That hasn't been the case the last 2 years. This year, my prediction is the Steelers win 4 of their last 6, get to 10-7, and make it to the postseason. Also, I think the AFC North as a division is very winnable. All right, I understand how the momentum looks. I mean, the Steelers were 4-1. The Ravens were 1-5 at one point. It looked really bad for Baltimore. And now, boom, 5 straight wins for Baltimore. Pittsburgh has lost 4 of their last 6, and you've completely choked away the lead at this point in the season. I understand that the momentum makes it seem like Baltimore's just going to run away with this division from here on out. But something you guys got to realize is that Baltimore's schedule just came off the easiest stretch they're going to have the entire year, and they don't have any more games where you really feel like they're for sure going to win, all right? Like, they've got a pretty tough schedule these last 6 weeks. They've got Joe Burrow coming back for the Bengals to play them twice in 3 weeks. There's at least a chance the Bengals could at least upset them once in those 2 games. And they have to play the Steelers twice. Obviously, those games are going to loom large in the division race. And then outside of the division games, you have to play the New England freaking Patriots in Week 16 and then the Green Bay Packers on the road in Week 17. This is a tough finish to the schedule, guys. And it honestly wouldn't shock me if Baltimore lost 4 of their final 6 games down the stretch, which would almost certainly lock up the division for the Pittsburgh Steelers, even if they get 9 wins at the end of the year. But I do think that, it's probably going to come down to the final game, guys. It's just the way that it works, right? Steelers, Ravens, it just always seems to come down to that final week, season finale type of game to decide the winner of this division. I think that's the way it's going to go. And, it's even possible that the loser of that game will be out of the playoffs entirely. So that might be an early playoff game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and my guess is it'll probably be played at night. So it's going to be a lot of fun here to finish up the rest of the season. But no, although the Ravens have caught up to us, this race is just getting started, and I absolutely think the Pittsburgh Steelers can still win the AFC North here in 2025. So who wins the North? Let me know what you guys think. Down there in the comment section, type PIT for Steelers or BAL for the Baltimore Ravens. Let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section. For me, I'm going to stay strong here. I'm going to continue to say the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then the final reason to hope here, guys, in my opinion, is that the AFC is still wide freaking open, all right? Like, you look at the teams that are in the playoff picture for the AFC right now. Tell me which teams the Steelers definitely can't beat. They already beat Drake May and the New England Patriots on the road, all right? They beat Daniel Jones and the Colts at home, all right? They've already beaten 2 division winners right now in the AFC, and if they beat Baltimore, I think they'll beat them at least once. That means they would have beaten 3 of these teams, okay? And then the Broncos, they got a really good defense, but Bo Nix is so up and down. The Chargers, you don't have Joe Alt, don't have Rashawn Slater. I think that team is very beatable. Same thing goes for Jacksonville. I think the Steelers match up very favorably to the Buffalo Bills as well. So I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are capable of beating any team that they play in a playoff scenario. They just have to put it all together. Like we talked about earlier in today's show, the offense and the defense need to come together. You got to strip these inconsistencies that we've seen throughout this season. And my message to you, as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and I know it's been tough over this last month and a half where this team has lost 4 of their last 6 games. I understand it's been extremely frustrating being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan here over the last several weeks. But, and obviously things need to get better down the stretch, but everything is still in front of this football team. They still have every opportunity, not only to make the playoffs, not only to win the division, but also to go on a run in the playoffs. They've already proven that they can beat some of the top teams in this conference if they play to the level that they're capable of. It's just a matter of getting there more consistently and put together a great stretch in January of your best football to be able to deliver this team its first playoff win and hopefully multiple playoff wins in many seasons. Now, that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk. I hope I convinced you guys to have a little bit of hope for the Pittsburgh Steelers here heading down the home stretch. But I also gave you guys some reasons and some things to fix as well. If you guys love the Pittsburgh Steelers and you're a real one, you watch all of our shows, all that great stuff, let me know down there in the comments section by typing real one down there in the comments. We'll give you guys some love if you do so. Appreciate all of your guys' support. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Going to have more Steelers content coming your way here throughout this week. And when you click that subscribe button, guys, you get access to all of our videos. We're going to be going live on Sunday for the Bills game starting at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time for our live watch party. It's all going to be great, guys. So if you want all of our content for free, make sure you click that subscribe button. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.